In a dramatic move, former President Trump has imposed a 25% tariff on Japanese automobiles, despite Japan having zero tariffs on American vehicles. This decision has blindsided Tokyo, creating significant diplomatic tension. The situation is particularly concerning given Japan's position as America's closest Asian ally and largest investor in the U.S. automotive industry. Japanese automakers face potential losses of $21 billion due to these restrictions. Trump escalated further on April 2, 2025, announcing additional 24% tariffs on various Japanese imports to the United States, pushing Pacific trade relations into crisis. In response, Japan is exploring new alliances with China and South Korea, potentially reshaping Asia's power balance. This trilateral partnership could challenge U.S. economic dominance. For decades, Japanese automotive companies like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan have been crucial to American industry. They've invested billions in North America, building factories and creating jobs across states like Kentucky, Indiana, and Texas. These companies have become integral to the American industrial landscape, manufacturing throughout North America and supporting local economies. They've followed trade rules and worked to avoid friction. The situation parallels tensions in other regions, but could have far greater global economic impact. The effects on American consumers are concerning, with car prices expected to rise significantly, affecting vehicle affordability for many Americans. The impact extends to auto parts suppliers and dealerships nationwide. This development signals a shift in global trade dynamics, raising questions about the future of American economic leadership and the potential emergence of a new economic order in Asia. In a stunning shift of international trade relations, U.S. implementation of a 25% tariff on Japanese automobiles has sent shockwaves through global markets and diplomatic circles. This move, executed without warning, signals a fundamental transformation in how America treats even its closest allies. The impact is particularly striking given Japan's deep integration into the American economy. Japanese automakers have invested over $40 billion in U.S. manufacturing facilities, employing more than 170,000 American workers. These companies have operated as integral parts of American communities. Now, they face tariffs amounting to $24 billion, despite their contributions to the U.S. economy. This isn't just about profit margins, says economic analyst James Harrison. We're witnessing a seismic shift in international relations. Japan has been one of America's most loyal partners since World War II, with the U.S. playing a crucial role in rebuilding Japan's economy. In return, Japan became a cornerstone of American strategy in Asia. The tariffs are part of a broader trend. The United States has been establishing trade barriers not only against competitors like China, but also against traditional allies, implementing tariffs on European steel, restrictions on South Korean technology, and now Japanese automobiles. What's particularly notable is that approximately 75% of Japanese cars sold in the U.S. are manufactured in North America. This commitment to local production didn't protect Japanese manufacturers from new tariffs. While U.S. officials argue these measures protect American jobs, the implementation has created chaos in supply chains and eroded trust among international partners. The move raises questions about the stability of trade relationships and diplomatic partnerships. Industry experts suggest this policy shift could have far-reaching consequences beyond immediate economic impacts, potentially reshaping global trade alliances and forcing countries to reconsider their economic dependencies. In a significant shift reshaping global trade dynamics, Japan's quiet but strategic response to recent U.S. trade pressures reveals deeper cracks in international alliances. Our analysis shows how traditional partnerships, built on decades of trust, are facing unprecedented challenges. What we're seeing isn't just about tariffs anymore, explains Dr. James Morrison, international trade expert. It's about the fundamental erosion of trust in global partnerships. The impact extends beyond Japan, with South Korea, Germany, Mexico, and Canada, all watching developments with concern. Japan's response has been particularly noteworthy. Instead of engaging in public confrontations, Japanese businesses are methodically restructuring their global operations. They're increasing investments in Southeast Asian markets and strengthening trade ties with the European Union, demonstrating a strategic pivot away from traditional dependencies. This shift signals a troubling trend in global economic cooperation. When trusted allies begin preparing for potential betrayal, the entire world system shows signs of strain. Trade relationships are increasingly resembling survival games, with cooperation giving way to competition. The ripple effects are being felt across the globe. In Europe, old fears about American unpredictability are resurfacing. Canada still bears the scars of difficult NAFTA renegotiations. The question on many allies' minds is, who's next? What makes this situation alarming is that the destabilization isn't coming from an adversary, but from the nation that helped build the post-war economic order. Japan's experience serves as a warning. If even the closest allies can find themselves in the crosshairs, no nation can feel secure about their trade relationship with the United States. Behind the headlines, Japan's business community is executing a carefully calibrated response. Their approach, precise, measured, and strategic, may serve as a blueprint for other nations facing similar challenges. As one Tokyo analyst notes, this isn't just about economic metrics anymore, it's about trust, and once that's broken, the cost isn't just financial, it's systemic. In a dramatic shift within the automotive industry, executives at major Japanese automakers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan gathered for emergency meetings. These industry leaders had anticipated potential disruptions since Trump's first term and had prepared contingency plans. Now, as trade tensions escalated, it was time to implement their Plan B. The Japanese auto industry began its transformation. Manufacturing facilities underwent restructuring. Supply chains, previously dependent on Japan-US operations, were redirected toward Southeast Asia. Auto parts and vehicles started flowing from Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, a move designed for cost efficiency and as a shield against American tariffs. Honda quietly reconfigured its logistics network to circumvent American trade barriers. Toyota accelerated its innovation initiatives, focusing on solid-state batteries and next-generation hybrids. Nissan relocated its US-bound vehicle production to Mexico and Europe, leveraging favorable trade relationships. This wasn't about making headlines, it was about calculated survival. While other nations voiced objections, Japan methodically reconstructed its approach. Global supply chains, traditionally built for speed and cost savings, were now being optimized for resilience. In every boardroom, executives grappled with a crucial question: if trade rules change overnight, can we survive? A government study in late 2024 revealed that over 70% of major Japanese corporations had implemented contingency strategies. This silent revolution in Japanese manufacturing demonstrated their ability to adapt to changing geopolitical landscapes. The transformation wasn't just about avoiding tariffs, it represented a fundamental shift in how Japanese companies viewed global trade. Rather than maintaining traditional dependencies, they were creating flexible networks capable of weathering any political storm. This strategic pivot would later prove invaluable as global trade tensions continued to escalate. In a significant shift in global business dynamics, Japanese companies are planning to relocate their production facilities from high-risk zones, including China and the United States. By mid-2025, at least 30 major corporations intend to move their manufacturing operations to countries offering more predictable policies and stable trading conditions. The most concerning aspect is the broader implications. While Japan remains a U.S. ally, its business sector no longer feels confident relying on American decisions. Companies are developing contingency plans, demonstrating how quickly trust can erode. Japan's strategic pivot could become a blueprint for other nations. Germany, South Korea, and Taiwan are monitoring these developments. This isn't merely about Japan's adaptation, it's the emergence of a new form of globalization focused on security rather than profit maximization. America's push to bring manufacturing back home might be backfiring. Instead of returning to the U.S., companies are moving to regions with less volatile political landscapes. The harder Washington pushes, the more quietly businesses slip away. As more companies follow the Japanese automakers' lead, we might witness a new economic exodus from countries with unpredictable policies. Without boycotts or declarations, businesses are silently departing. The impact is visible across America. Auto dealerships report delays, with customers waiting weeks for new vehicles. When cars arrive, they come with higher prices, averaging $3,000 more than before. The model range is shrinking as import challenges persist. This situation mirrors challenges faced in regions where economic uncertainty led to market instability. This shift represents more than business strategy. It's a transformation in global trade dynamics. The traditional profit-driven globalization is giving way to a new paradigm, where stability takes precedence over maximum returns. These changes impact everyday Americans through increased waiting times and higher prices across various sectors, showing how policy decisions affect communities. Breaking news: American auto industry faces unprecedented disruption as trade tensions escalate. In a significant shift affecting millions of Americans, the U.S. auto industry faces severe disruptions following recent trade policy changes. Domestic manufacturers struggle to fill the gap as imports from Asian markets slow down. The situation has created a perfect storm in the automotive sector. American-made vehicles can't match the quantity or quality standards needed to fill the market void, leading to higher prices and limited consumer choices. Industry experts warn of lasting economic implications. The impact on American workers is particularly concerning. These policies are causing significant employment uncertainty for U.S. citizens working for suppliers, parts distributors, and assembly plants dependent on international cooperation. In Indiana, General Motors is adapting by moving some truck production to Ford Wia's facility. While creating 250 new jobs, the transition has caused temporary shutdowns. Nissan has reversed plans to reduce shifts at their Tennessee plant to avoid new tariffs on vehicles from Japan and Mexico. These adjustments are proving costly and creating chaos throughout the supply chain. Market analysts report increasing volatility as investors express concern. There's growing anxiety about how trade disruptions could trigger an economic downturn. The global response has been swift and critical. China, Japan, and South Korea have condemned the U.S. tariffs, with Chinese officials threatening retaliatory measures. The automotive industry, a global puzzle of international collaboration, faces unprecedented challenges. The situation mirrors disruptions in other sectors where international cooperation has been vital. As one industry veteran noted, "When you pull one thread in this intricate tapestry of global trade, the entire fabric begins to unravel." Global markets are experiencing unprecedented tensions as Japan's strategic response to U.S. trade policies creates ripple effects across Asia. South Korea and Taiwan express concerns about potential export declines, highlighting the expanding impact of what began as a U.S.-Japan trade dispute. Industry analysts point to Japan's careful maneuvering, shaped by lessons from their 1985 economic setback when Washington's policies led to a decade-long slowdown. This institutional memory has prompted Tokyo to implement a more nuanced approach to current challenges. Japan has committed over 1 trillion yen, $7 billion, to rejuvenate its semiconductor industry. This move has attracted major global players, with Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC establishing new chip manufacturing facilities in Kumamoto, southern Japan. These steps demonstrate Japan's commitment to securing its technological future. Japanese firms have increased their presence in Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia have become key destinations for new manufacturing facilities, particularly in electric vehicles, clean energy, and electronics sectors. Between 2022 and 2024, Japanese investments in these regions increased by 15%. This strategic pivot represents a calculated effort to establish supply chains less dependent on both China and the United States. The quiet but determined nature of Japan's response has caught the attention of global economic observers. The situation mirrors other global trade tensions, such as those affecting Eastern Europe, where economic relationships have been altered by political decisions. Japan's measured response offers a template for nations facing similar challenges. Market analysts suggest this could mark the beginning of a new era in international trade relations, where countries prioritize economic security over traditional partnership models. The implications continue to unfold, affecting global supply chains and international cooperation patterns. In today's analysis, we're examining how Japan is quietly reshaping its global position while navigating between an unpredictable United States and an assertive China. This strategic transformation offers fascinating insights into modern diplomatic maneuvering. Japan's approach exemplifies soft power diplomacy, achieving objectives without confrontation. Japanese leadership is methodically building new alliances, restructuring production networks, and influencing global trade rules. This calculated approach is proving effective. The message to Washington is clear. Weaponizing trade policies, even against allies, carries risks. As America implements tariffs and trade restrictions, it may find itself increasingly isolated in the global economic landscape. The recent automotive tariffs demonstrate this potentially self-defeating strategy. While the U.S. focuses on short-term trade victories, Japan is positioning itself for long-term success. They're expanding partnerships across Southeast Asia, strengthening ties with regional powers, and diversifying economic relationships. This isn't just about cars, it's about the future balance of global power. What's particularly noteworthy is how this situation mirrors other global developments. Just as we've seen in the northern Black Sea region, where territorial disputes have reshaped alliances, Japan's strategic pivot demonstrates how nations can adapt to changing geopolitical realities. Do you think America's aggressive trade policies are pushing it toward isolation? These shifts in global trade dynamics affect everyone, from consumers to corporations. We'll continue monitoring these developments and their implications for international relations. Stay tuned for more coverage of global economic and political developments that shape our world. Your engagement helps us deliver the content you value most.